Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. This is, well, it's not breaking news now because it happened 5 days ago, but the announcement of the new captain at the Parramatta Eels, which is, of course, as everyone knows by now, which is Mitchell Moses. Now, I just wanted to jump on and say that, look, this is a great appointment for the Parramatta Eels and the whole club. Mitchell, look, I did a post, I think, a few weeks ago on Instagram asking for your opinion about who would be the captain of the Parramatta Eels since Clint Gutherson has gone to the Dragons and has become co-captain down there. And look, most of you guys said that Mitchell Moses would be the captain. And look, that was probably the obvious choice, I would say. He is an on-field leader. Look, playing halfback in an NRL side, NRL team, you generally are the leader of that team anyway, but I guess now it probably cements that position as a leader of the club anyway, and he has the C next to his name, and he's going to be doing the press conferences after the game. He's going to be doing the coin tosses and probably a lot more media interviews than what we have seen Mitchell do in the past. Now, I think also too, look, he really did grow last year, especially after that State of Origin series, or during that State of Origin series, games 2 and 3. Was player of the match in game number 2 and pretty much sealed the victory for New South Wales in game number 3 with that absolute cracker of a try that he scored. Now, I think he joined the Eels in 2017, midway through the season, I think it was. And look, he was a supporter of the club growing up, was a Eels junior, I do believe, but then obviously made his first grade debut over at the West Tigers, but then did come back to Parramatta in 2017, as I mentioned, about halfway through that season, and has had some magnificent moments. Look, who could forget that 2019 try at the opening of CommBank Stadium, as it is known now? That length of the field try, Gutho takes a tap, finds Mitchell, and Mitchell just runs for the corner. Look, he was also, in that same year, he was the Dally M Halfback of the Year. He's played 5 final series at the Eels, and look, he has led the competition in try assists in 2019, and he also has, in his career, has scored over 1,000 points, most of those at the Parramatta Eels. Look, he's also represented Australia and New South Wales from playing at the Eels, and look, he's also captain Lebanon as well in 2017, and has played for the Australian 9 side, the Prime Minister's 13, World All-Stars. So, look, this is going to be an important year for Mitchell. Look, to be honest, I think he will be itching to get back on that field, and hopefully he can stay healthy. Last season, it was a little bit of a disappointment. I think only playing 10 games, for Parramatta, with injuries coming into play last season, and didn't Parramatta miss Mitchell Moses in their side, that is for sure. But look, I think this is another string to his bow, and I think he'll mature into the role, and he's already shown that he is a leader, not only on the field, but off the field as well. But from all reports, from what I am seeing, in the Eels media that they release. Obviously, I'm not there at training. For anyone listening who is an Eels fan that would like more, in-depth information about what is happening at training, then follow the Cumberland Throw. They are there at training and they do their training reports, and they do see a lot more than what I do, and probably a lot more than what we see as well. So, obviously, Jason Riles has identified that. And look, I think also with Zach Lomax coming to the club as well, it does look like Mitchell will relinquish the goal-kicking duties to Zach. He was questioned about that the other day in his, I guess you could say, first press conference as captain. And I think he said that he pretty much will give, or Zach is a pretty good goal kicker himself, so he will probably give Zach those goal kicking duties. Just something that Mitch doesn't have to concentrate on, but I guess you got a really good backup goal kicker if anything happens to Zach Lomax, which I hope doesn't, to be honest, but you've got Mitchell there waiting. Also, the news of Mitchell's captaincy of the Eels. It was also on the social media from the Parramatta Eels. It was great to see some of the old boys there, and especially the first ever premiership winning captain for the Eels, Stephen Edge. He was there on hand, but along with Mitchell's family as well. That was great to see, and it was all to mark the next chapter of the leadership for the Eels. Speaking of leadership, there is a leadership group at the Parramatta Eels for 2025. Junior Paulo, JMaine Hopgood and Jack Williams. So, look, Junior Paulo, he has been a co-captain of Parramatta in previous seasons, and just seeing him in social media pics, geez, he's looking pretty fit these days. Hopefully he is as menacing on the field as we have seen him before with that big size, but look, he is looking fit and firing. He did finish the season last year early with that ankle injury. So Junior, he does know about leadership. He has been at Parramatta for a long time now, and as I mentioned before, was a co-captain of the team with Clint Gutherson as well. JMaine Hopgood, he has been a captain before at Penrith in reserve grade, or New South Wales Cup as it was, won a premiership at Penrith, and probably one player that will probably grow into this leadership role as well, and could potentially be a full-time captain himself of Parramatta in future years, long after Mitchell Moses has retired, but potentially could be a captain of Parramatta. And some Parramatta fans did think that potentially he was in the mix for this captaincy role. Jack Williams as well, the new recruit from the Cronulla Sharks. This is a very interesting one, I guess, from Jason Riles to include him in the leadership group. You probably don't see in, I guess, at clubs, new recruits get into the leadership group, but in saying that, I guess it just shows you what Jason Riles has seen in such a short time of Jack Williams in training in the preseason. So I think maybe he has seen something that some of us haven't seen, and he has put him into the leadership group as well, which is pretty outstanding to get into that leadership group. And I think into that leadership group, at a new club. You've got the likes of Ryan Madison, Sean Lane, just to name a few that potentially could have got into that leadership group. But Jack has obviously shown Jason Ryles something to get into that leadership group and be there. So well done to not only Jack but JMaine and also Junior as well. They will provide Mitchell Moses with a strong support as Mitchell steps into the new role at the Eels as captain. So number 7, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head without doing any research who else as a number 7 has been captain for Parramatta. Obviously, the one that stands out is Peter Sterling. No better number 7 at Parramatta than Peter Sterling. But he was a captain of the Eels for a couple of years, I think 87 to 92. When obviously after Mick Cronin and Ray Price retired, or Ray Price was the captain in 1986, and then retired after the grand final. Pretty sure Sterlo took the reins of the club. Just trying to think of some other number 7s. If there's any listeners out there that can let me know of any other number 7s that potentially could have been captain. Maybe I don't think there would have been a full-time captain for Parramatta as a number 7. As I mentioned, just Peter Sterling that I can think of. There may have been a few number 7s that captain a game, maybe a couple of games here and there, but we had Nathan Kalis for a long time as captain. We had Clint Gutherson as captain for a long time. So Nathan Highmarsh as well has been in there as captain for a couple of years there. Tim Manor as well was captain there, but I'm just trying to think of another number 7. But look, I can only think of Sterlo there as a number 7. But as I mentioned, there probably could have been a game or two where another number 7 throughout the years has been captain of the Eels. But congratulations to all those 3 in the leadership group, and no doubt congratulations to Mitchell Moses as well, being the captain of the Parramatta Eels. I expect him to have a massive year, to be honest. I am going to go the early crow and say that he will be the Dally M Player of the Year. If he is the Dally M Player of the Year, that means that Parramatta are winning games, and look, going to give this competition a shake. But I just think off the back of last year's Origin Series, he is fit and firing, ready to go. He says that his body is ready to go from all the injuries that he had last season. So he's chomping at the bit to kick a ball in anger in this competition of 2025. So look, I think he's pumped and primed for a massive year, and look, being the captain, that'll give him massive confidence as well. So he is a natural born leader anyway, and as I said before, halfbacks, they generally are the leaders on the field. So this is just no different, just a few more media commitments and the C next to his name, and as I said, the coin toss and the press conferences. So this will be interesting to see how he handles that. And look, another little bit of a test for Mitchell will also be the way that he conducts himself on the field as well towards referees. I guess we have noticed Mitchell and Gutho over the last few years get pretty, I guess you could say, frustrated at times at the referees. The waving of the hands by the sides up in the air. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes when Mitchell is the captain. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I think he would have matured from... Look, he's 30 years old, but as a player, I think he is in the prime of his career, and I think I think the waving of arms, look, there may be still a little bit of a couple of times where there will be frustrations, but I think that will be something that we won't see from Mitchell. But there will be a couple of times, obviously, but that'll be interesting to see how he handles that. So, anyway, congratulations to Mitchell and the others as well on that news. Now, that was 5 days ago. I must apologise for not getting it out earlier. Just had stuff on, so I just could not get this done any earlier. But look, better late than never, eh? But look, if there is ever any breaking news or big news to come out of the Parramatta Eels, I will make sure that I will get it done and get it to you as soon as possible. Thank you for listening. The Para Cave podcast by the fan for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast.